Hello, my lovely people. How are you this morning? Well, we are now at the cusp of a beautiful full moon eclipse, very powerful one, and I think going to usher in some major change for many of us. Maybe feel like our lives are being tipped upside down if we're not willing to let go of some of the things that really don't serve us anymore, don't serve our values, require us to live our truth more fully. And so when I pulled the question this morning, what are my most important values and how are they reflected in my life and in my daily decisions? Now there's a question for you. Probably requires you to take some time and write down some notes, I would think. What is going on in your life at the moment, and are you living those values? How are you? Do you even know what your values are? What it brought to mind for me was a film about a real life story that I watched. Not really one for normally watching war films, but this was more for me about the man himself and the values he portrayed of standing strong in his integrity and his beliefs. His name was Desmond Doss. He was a United States Army corporal who was a combat medic in World War II. And he refused to carry a rifle. He would not carry a weapon. It was against his beliefs. And in those days, if you were a conscientious objector, if you were against the norm, then it didn't go down too well. But he joined anyway. And throughout his training and his time before going into battle, if the men around him through marching had blisters, had fainted, he was by their side, healing them, helping them, giving them his water canteen if they dropped from exhaustion from the heat. And yet he was bullied, he was attacked, and one soldier was known to say to him that when we go into battle, I will ensure you don't come back alive. And yet he stood by his principles. And you may go away and read his story. It is really fascinating. He was the only conscientious objector to receive the Medal of Honor. He received a Purple Heart because when in then the thick of battle, he disobeyed orders to go into, when it seemed they were losing the battle, to go into enemy lines. And he physically carried, I believe, over 75 soldiers out of who were wounded and carried them back to safety. And then when eventually he was very badly injured, he was hit by a grenade and then shot, he still told the stretcher bearers to take another soldier before him. And he did survive. And when I listened to this, when I watched it, it really, really struck me as just such an example of when we wish to stand up for our values, stand up for what we believe. It doesn't mean it's easy. And often it goes against maybe the popular masses. But do you have, what are your values? Do you stand strong in those values? Are you able to defend those? But at the same time, what he showed was love for his fellow man. He didn't attack back because people resented him. He didn't attack back due to their poor behavior and the things they said to him. He was still there by their side. So when I then pulled this card, surrender resentments, this really brought it home to me. Who are you resenting at the moment who maybe doesn't agree with you, who doesn't share your views? And you may be sitting on one side of an argument and believing that you believe in democracy, you believe in free speech until somebody doesn't agree with you. And that's when you have to challenge your values. Do you really believe in those things, or do you just believe everyone has to think the same? And there's another name for that, which I won't go into. So I carried on this story this morning because it really struck home with me. So the next one was reflect on your truth. Similar to the values, what is the truth deep inside of you? Are you strong enough to stand up for it and also still love those around you? Because then I pulled the suffering card, and there are going to be people around you, or maybe you are suffering and feeling that you're alone, or maybe they feel alone. So then the story continued. Be open to love. Love yourself. Love yourself for your values. And if you are fueled with resentment, be open to loving those that may disagree with you. Because for me, I then pulled, the story went on, partnerships and love. And this picture here, around the world, everybody holding hands. Because for me, at this time, will we look back at this time and feel that we did reach out our hands to those that may be different to us, maybe think differently, act differently, are different, but we were still willing to take them into our hearts, show them love and compassion? Because for me, this is the only way forward. We either sit in love or fear. Life has always seemed quite simple to me. I know there's lots of grey in between, but even that, I still feel every decision I make, I ask the question of myself, am I sitting in love or am I sitting in fear? Resentment comes from fear. We are in the fear camp with this. With love, we are obviously sitting in the love camp. So when you see that suffering, which side are you going to sit? And I finish with this. Imagine solutions. If we all just sent out that love and imagined the best possible outcome to all the pain and the suffering that is going on around us, if we had this picture and we just kept sending out that beautiful picture that is surrounded with love, rather than so many sitting in the feeling of fear and creating more of that. If we just kept sending out, projecting that love out there. One, it lifts us, it lifts ourselves, it shows love for ourselves, and it may seem simplistic, but I've proved it can work. So on that note, with that story, I wish you a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful day. And I send love to you all. And I wish you a lovely full moon eclipse. And whatever it is that you need to rethink, let go of, surrender to, this is the time to do it. Maybe a belief system. Maybe a way of behaving. Is that matched with your values? Do you talk about love, but you react in a very different way, and you react in fear to others around you? It is time to walk our talk of love, compassion, healing, and support. And I'm going now. So sorry this was a bit longer than normal, but it seemed like it was quite a deep story to tell. So be well, and I'll see you soon. Bye.